Have you ever looked at the night sky and wondered if we're alone? In 2020, humanity took its first steps towards answering that question. But what if the answer wasn't what we expected? Today, we're blasting off on a mission to Mars to uncover the mysteries of the 2000 sci-fi film, Mission to Mars. Did the first crewed mission go according to plan? What secrets lie hidden beneath the red dust? Join me as we explore the Martian landscape and unravel the truth behind humanity's first encounter with the unknown. It's 2020, and a bittersweet celebration fills the air in Dickinson, Texas. Astronauts Woody and Terry share the excitement of their upcoming departure, the first crewed mission to Mars. But amidst the joy, shadows linger. Phil, ever the charmer, seeks fleeting connections, while Luke struggles to face his son's tearful goodbye. Jim, a seasoned pilot, arrives late. This mission was once his, but his wife's illness forced him to step aside. Guilt gnaws at Luke, but Jim, the stoic leader, wishes them well. Jim's only solace is a silent footprint in the sandbox, a whispered dream of Mars. 13 months later, the Ares 1 touched down in Cydonia, Mars. A robotic explorer crawls across the desolate landscape, its camera relaying the alien vista. A sudden discovery jolts them awake, a bright white formation unlike anything they've seen. Analysis reveals it's not volcanic ash, but something far more intriguing: ice. The hope of a future human settlement ignites. Back on Earth, at the Mars Mission Control, Jim and his team watch the video feed, hearts pounding as Luke reports the potential water resource. On Mars, the crew approaches the anomaly, the air thick with anticipation. An unsettling hum fills the air, dismissed as a malfunctioning rover. But as they draw closer to the mountain, the radar paints a chilling picture. Metal lies buried beneath its surface. Unease creeps in. They crank up the radar for a closer look, but the signal cuts out, replaced by an eerie silence. Before they can react, a monstrous whirlwind erupts from the ground, a sentient force chasing them across the dusty plains. Rocks become deadly projectiles, the wind a hungry maw. The vortex dissipates as abruptly as it began, leaving behind a horrifying revelation. The mountain is a colossal humanoid face. Back on Earth, a surge of energy ripples through the station, a silent scream from the red planet. The crew is left with a chilling choice. What secrets lie beneath that alien face, and dare they unearth them? Chaos erupted at the station as Woody, Terry, and Phil arrived. News of the Mars 1 mission's disaster hung heavy in the air, but a faint flicker of hope emerged. A distress call from the mission camp. The recovered recording revealed a lone survivor, Luke's voice filled with confusion and fear. The transmission abruptly ended, leaving them with more questions than answers. The computers were fried, rendering further communication impossible. Their only option, a rescue mission, Mars 2. Suddenly, Phil chimed in. The Saturn research satellite, conveniently passing Mars orbit, could be repurposed for exploration. But a traditional launch wouldn't be fast enough. Enter Jim, ever the strategist. He'd already crunched the numbers. A stripped-down ship with increased fuel could reach Mars sooner. Commander Ray wasn't convinced. Jim hadn't completed his psych evaluations after losing his wife, and flying was deemed risky. However, with Jay's backing, Jay, remember, designed the evacuation plan. Woody championed Jim's competence. Finally, Ray relented. The crew selection became the next hurdle. Woody pushed for Jim as co-pilot, facing resistance from Ray. But Woody wouldn't budge, and Jim's crucial role in the evacuation plan ultimately swayed Ray. The Mars 2 blasted off flawlessly, defying Ray's doubts. Weeks bled into months. 174 days of space travel. Boredom gnawed at them. In a moment of quirky genius, Phil started building his ideal woman's DNA model out of candy. Jim, ever the prankster, devoured some, turning Phil's dream woman into a potential amphibian. Suddenly, Woody spotted a menacing dust storm brewing on the screen, its trajectory aimed squarely at the Mars 1 camp. They had to accelerate and outrun the storm that could shroud the planet for a year. Then came the data from the repurposed satellite. The Mars 1 ship was surprisingly intact. Relief warred with unease as they discovered 3 graves near the camp. Luke could still be alive. But a new mystery emerged, a strange interference signal on the screen. The earthquake from 6 months ago couldn't have caused this. Woody wasn't convinced it was an earthquake at all. Jim, however, remained skeptical. Hope flickered on the horizon of Mars. With mere hours until landing, Jim, haunted by his wife's dream of uncovering the planet's secrets, watched videos of her vibrant spirit. Suddenly, their triumph turned to terror. A micrometeoroid storm ripped through the ship, injuring Phil and causing a hull breach. The quick-thinking engineer Woody patched the first hole, but the pressure continued to plummet. Thinking fast, the crew used a strange liquid to seal another breach. As Jim neared unconsciousness from the failing air, Woody heroically fixed the final leak. Relief was short-lived. Another breach occurred. A fuel line leak in the engine. Unaware, the crew initiated the descent. Disaster struck as the leaking fuel ignited, crippling the ship and sending them plummeting towards a fiery demise. A glimmer of hope emerged. The Mars 1 supply module offered a lifeline, but it was adrift. They donned their suits for a desperate spacewalk. Propelled by a jetpack, Woody attached a tether to the speeding module, but fuel ran out, and he hurtled towards Mars, sacrificing his chance at survival to secure the tether. Torn between grief and the will to survive, Terry, Woody's wife, defied him and attempted a daring rescue with her limited jetpack fuel. It was a selfless act, but tragically in vain. The distance between them was too great, and with a final declaration of love, Woody accepted his fate. Disaster strikes the Mars mission. Terry teeters on the brink, shaken by the lost signal from Mars 2. Just then, a glimmer of hope. The supply module lands, but only Jim could have pulled off such a feat. Relief is short-lived, as the remaining crew discovers a chilling truth. The first expedition barely survived. They find the remains of the first ship and a devastated Luke, haunted by a mysterious force that erupted from a mountain. With his calming presence, Jim unlocks Luke's memories, revealing a desperate fight for survival. A fierce storm brewing on the horizon forces them to seek shelter within the ship. Luke's sharp mind deciphers the strange sounds the face emits, uncovering a complex message. A test encoded in DNA. The first crew failed, their radar a misinterpretation. Now the fate of humanity rests on their shoulders. Jim bravely proposes a solution, sending a response encoded with the missing genetic code. Despite fear, they devise a plan, with Phil waiting at the ship for their safe return. Reaching the face,